So, all right, marker in place for the YouTube video. We're going to be looking over the controller and what keyboard events. So thinking there's some things that we can do in here in the event handler. So there's update, there's draw. So there's mouse button down event. I don't care about that. Key down event is a keyboard button. Okay, gamepad button down event. That's what I want. Okay, so I can do a gamepad button down event. We're going to get this context, the button, and then the gamepad ID. I don't actually know if I care about any of these. Probably the only things I care about here are the button and the context. So actually, I don't even know if I need to care about the context at all either. Let's right now just debug what this button is. Oh, we need to pull in these things. Interesting. I wonder if there's a difference or if it's just re-exported. Okay, I'm going to press down on the D-pad. Okay. Oh, and okay, great. I can still press it. So these are D-pad downs. Okay, like if I do diagonal, do that. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that doesn't give me anything. That doesn't give. So these two don't give me anything on this. But I can click it. Interesting. What if I switch you over to digital mode? No, okay, so I still don't know what. Still can't get these inputs. Oh, I can't get any of them now. Okay, never mind. Don't switch to digital mode. Okay, so we can get that. We can get all those things. Start, select. Okay, so I can start is probably what I care about here, and then D-pad down and D-pad up is what I'm caring about also. So what I'm thinking about here is having a input handler. The input handler would then be called from here. It's going to figure out based upon like what the state of the game is in, then what the navigation. So based upon the navigation that we're currently in, then it's going to give out commands. No, it's not going to give out commands. It's going to emit commands to the to our event handler, our event manager, and everybody else can sort of like, oh, okay, now this is going to be selected. Now this is going to be selected, and so on and so forth. So that means I need to create. There's going to be commands, and there's going to be, I guess it's going to be like an input handler. So I don't know what I need to initialize this with, or like what kind of internal data it's gonna need to have. Well, you know, at the very least, we're gonna need to be aware of. We need to be aware of what state, like what the navigation state is, which means we need to be listening to events. So, what is this? Is basically an event receiver. Which means, okay, so definitely we're gonna have to take in a reference to the event manager. I don't think we need to return a result. We'll find out. Let's just return a self right now. Okay, so big thing about the event manager, we need to subscribe to the right event. So okay, so the events to subscribe to, this is a vector. And then I have event. Oh, I think it's the navigating to. And I don't know if it matters what we're navigating to, but do a navigation. Why don't you tell me what you can do? Title screen. That's what you care about. And then in here, to string, I think is what it cares about. Yeah, it does. Now we're going to get back this receiver with an event. Which means we can now store this away here. Which means you're here. All right, so we've got you stored away. Then, our input handler is going to need to be aware of what, like where we currently are. So we need this to loop through on update. And we need to know exactly what page that we're on. And so our current page maybe current screen. I don't know. Current navigation. I don't know what the best way to use this is. This is gonna be a navigation. So in here, we can set our current navigation to be the title screen because that just makes sense. Like that's where we're going to start. And then when we update, we want to loop through all of the these events that we get, and if it's a new navigation, then we need to update our current navigation. So I think we can do this with a while let. I think it's an okay. Okay, so then we get this event out. What can event be right now? Navigating to and like this dummy one for reasons. Okay, so navigating to. I suppose we should match on the event. And okay, so here we have navigating to, and then this is going to be a navigation. So current navigation, or maybe it's like the new navigation. So based upon this, I want to do a self dot current navigation is equal to the new navigation. And with dummy, we're not going to do anything at all. Okay, so then an update. So let's actually say that we start this not on title screen, but on settings. So then in here, in update, okay, so event manager, loader manager, system manager. So before system manager, maybe after we've loaded. So input manager dot update. I think we have to unwrap you. So what I want to see here, I want to debug self dot current navigation. Do that twice. I want to see it change after this runs. You don't implement debug, but you can. Okay, no errors, no warnings. So we should see it be the old one, and then we immediately, like the first thing that happens is we emit out the new page that we're on. So yeah, we're in settings, and then immediately after the first frame, we're now in title screen. So that entire system is working. Excellent. Okay, so this is now aware of what page that we're on. So now we want to like generate commands based upon like what was coming in. So maybe we want something like a pub function handle controller input. I don't think I need. You know, before this. So when I get something in here, we're going to emit out the command that we're putting out, which means we need a sender, so an event sender. Which means we need that here. Yeah, so we're going to subscribe. And I think that's it. We're just subscribing that we're going to be sending events. And it doesn't matter what events we're sending, as long as it's an event. All right, what are you? Inconsistent structure. Why are you upset? Inconsistent struct constructor. Yeah, let's go not to that website. Checks for struct constructors where all fields are shorthand and the order of the field in its shorthand in the constructor is inconsistent with the order in the struct definition. Oh, it's inconsistent order. That's what it is. Okay, so event receiver should be first, then event sender comes up here. That's what it is. It needs to be the same order. That's what it's telling me. Okay, that's cool. I don't think I've run into that one before, which is a little bit surprising to me. I would have expected to see that all the time. All right. Now, we're going to want to send out an event as soon as we get it. So we're going to have this pub function handle controller input. Don't know if I need mutable self or not. It'll yell at me if I don't need it, I think. And then in here, we need the button that was pressed. Which is, okay, this button here. And then after that, I don't know if I'd need anything else. So we're going to return a result. So I guess I'll just start very slowly here. I'm going to just debug the button that's pressed. So down here, we're going to do self.input handler dot handle controller input and pass it in the button. Okay, so we run this again. Now, if I hit start, input handler, we're giving a start, and so we get all of these things. Perfect. Now, what I want to do is have another type of event. So we have this dummy here. Now we have like a command. Maybe before we do that, we need to know like what this command is. So we have these, what is it, states, like the different states that we're going to be in. I feel like we should just have another thing in here, like commands. Okay, so what's the first command that we're going to be doing? Let's have it do like up, down. So we're moving up and down. We actually know like we're gonna hit. There's 3 commands really. I suppose maybe 4. I don't know if I want select to be back. Let's try. For title screen, the only thing we care about is we're selecting up. So we have select up, select down, and maybe like we want to like enter into whatever this is, like start. Maybe just like select. So then in here, we're gonna have command with the actual command in it. You need to implement copy. Sure, you could also implement debug, it's fine. Okay, then in here, so in input handler, we're not implementing dummy anymore. Now it's just command. I don't think I necessarily need to care about this yet. But what I do care about is sending out what the command is. So based upon our navigation. So if we're in the title screen, if our button is the button up, what are you? You're an enum, okay. Excuse me. If let button D-pad up. So if we're using D-pad up, then I want to emit out So we're doing a select up. Now, can I do like an else if let? I think I would, perhaps this would just be better to be a match because there's 3 of these things. So, come on. I'm gonna match the button. We'll try this again in a second. Right, so I don't care about most of these things. D-pad up. So it's start and then the D-pads. All right, if we're start, self dot event sender, we're going to send event commands. This is select. If we're D-pad up. Oh, and I think you return a result, right? Yeah. This is select up. And you're select down. Okay. So those should be sent out appropriately if we have this, which means we need a system now in order to catch that this event has happened and then change the selected. So I want to do like the select up and the select down first. So what would that be? That would be under our systems. So we have this update. Let's create a new file here. This is going to be update selected I guess it's just like update selected. Don't think we're gonna need this in here. So we're gonna import update selected system. I guess we'll just have a run. So we're gonna take in the world, which is just a reference to the world. Return a result. All right, so the first thing is if we're selecting up or down, I need to query for all of the items. I don't know what order they are in. That's gonna be interesting. I wonder if I'm gonna need an order in here. And there's only 2 of them, so pretty much up and down is gonna be doing exactly the same thing. Let's get our list. I want to say that the is because of their vectors, the order that they're entered into the world should be the same order from top to bottom. So we're gonna go with that assumption for right now, and then we'll have to change that assumption later if we need to. All right, so I have run. We're gonna query that. We need a query specifically for the selecteds. And I don't know if I need to care about anything else with this. So like selected components. World query. And then this is going to be the component names. Selected. Okay, so that gives me that. Then I want to, let's see, I want to loop through all of these for, I guess I don't really care about the index unless we add more of these in here. Well, is that true? Because I think I actually do care about the index, so I can go back to the previous one and set it to be true or not. So we're going to need index and selected component. Okay, so we cast out, so we get selected. It's an RC ref cell. So we want to check to see you know what we need to store. We need, this is gonna definitely need to store the a receiver, because it needs to receive the command for that we're going down. So what did I do that? What am I doing? You go here. No wonder that was having a lot of trouble. Okay, so makes you happier. You pull in event. Which does mean we need a new in here. So a new, we're gonna need to take in the event manager. Okay, so let event receiver equals our event manager. We're gonna subscribe. we are going to subscribe to the commands. Sure, let's just subscribe to select that. Which means we have run. Before we even do this, we need to even see if there are any commands for us to deal with. So while let this is gonna be okay. I guess we have to start with event. Okay, so we get this event out of here, and then if it's a command, so we can just match on event. We don't care about the navigating to, all we care about are the commands, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, if you're a command, we're going to get this command out, and then we do care about you. I don't care about any of these other commands in here. So just select up and select down. We're going to set this command here then. Actually, hold on, this is easy. Oh, what am I doing? We can totally keep this as command here. And command here. Do these here, like that. And then, okay, so we match. I essentially want to return these out, which will be returned to here. Now, is that actually what I want to do? Because like, if it's not this thing, that's not going to work out very well at all. Because you're going to say, hey, you need to be a command. What if I do? Well, we could have a command none. But I think it would make more sense for me to set this to be like mutable. You're going to be an option command. Okay, which means that you're going to be equals a sum like that. No, not like that. Means you're going to be sums here. and you're gonna be a none. Oh, I'm so used to this. Yeah, you're just a none to begin with. Okay, so we get through this thing, and if we're a none at this point in time, time for us to crash out. Mismatched, expected, enum command. Oh, I think I'm running into problems because of like this command is getting overwritten here, which is a problem, obviously. So let's just do like current command. That makes it happier. So then if we get down to this point where we have a command, so if it's none, so if this is a none, we're returning early. There's nothing for us to do. But it's not an error state either. It's just, hey, the command we're listening for didn't happen. However, if we get past this point, then we know it's going to be one of these things. So we want to get our queries. We're going to come here. So we have our selected. We have to find out which one. Okay, so we have to find out which one is true. So this is essentially a wrapped selected. And if I want to convert this over into just a selected, or like a borrowed selected, because this is a RC ref cell, so I want to borrow you. Okay, so if now we have to dereference it, wrap selected, we're gonna borrow you, which is so it gives us a ref of selected, then we dereference it to get the boolean. Okay, so if you're true, that means you're selected, which means now it's time for us to now mark something else as true, and this one becomes false. So I suppose we can then say I don't know how to do this one. This is gonna be interesting. I might want to try something. I might want to break these up into different functions. Because I need to. Okay, so I need to borrow this mutably. Maybe up here. So let's just borrow it mutably up here. So let borrowed selected. It's going to equal to the wrap selected, but we're going to borrow you mutably. So now it's a ref mute of a bool. So now you can be, if a dereferenced, borrowed selected. And I think that should clone it. So that should be fine. So then we can say a borrowed selected, a dereferenced, borrowed selected is now going to be the opposite. So you're just going to be false now. You're no longer selected. Now we have this index. So this means we now need to take the index and either, depending upon our command, so let's match current command. We have some or none. So hold on, let's do a if let. Oh, wait, no, we can do this. We know that it's a sum because we've already checked up here. So we can just unwrap this. There's no chance of an error. And we know it can't be this one, so we don't care about you. It's just this select up or select down. So if it's select up, what do I want to do here? I want to take our index, subtract 1. So let selected index equals index minus 1. Now, if that brings it to, well, that's super not helpful. We can't do this because if this brings it to -1, if it's the first item in the index, which it will be if it's start and I press up, then I don't want to do anything at all. So gameplay decision time. If I press up, do I wrap back around to the bottom, or do I just do nothing at all? I've actually played games at both of them, and I don't know if it's if it bothers me too much. I can't remember. I think I'm going to try not having it wrapping. It's fairly trivial to build a wrap, and this system here would be just the only place we need to go and allow it to wrap. So that being said, like, it's not going to be that hard. We could let like the new index, the selected index, or the to be selected index, is going to be equal to, let's just do a little bit of the equivalent of a ternary in Rust. So we're going to do an if index is equal to 0, then I want to return the length of the array minus 1. So that's going to be the selected components dot length minus 1. Otherwise, we're going to be returning index minus 1. Okay, so in this case, I just went back on what I was saying. It's gonna just go back up, wrap around. We're gonna do wraparounds. Okay, so that gives us the to be selected index. Now, thinking about this, it's exactly the same thing as this select down. So I might want to like not even just have this here, but all the way out here. And we're returning this. And we need to do exactly the same thing here. Now I wonder, can I do this just right here? If index is equal to selected components dot length, so we're going up now. Minus 1. then I want to return 0. Otherwise, Kademlia is raiding with a party of 42. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Kademlia. Hello, raiders. How are you doing today? What are you working on, Kademlia? There are enough of us here to do a fun raid game. Oh, I need to open up a terminal for that. Where is our asteroids? That's in the Rust workspace. We'll go ahead and run this. Kademlia, how are you doing? What are we working on today? Hopefully something fun. Oh, you know what? I need to run this in release mode. That's why. That's why. It's already been built for, I think, this version of Rust. Maybe. A lot more of them, yeah. There we go. So this is an example of like one of the things that we do on this channel. We make interactive games, and so if you just type in and say hello into chat, like hello,
reinforcements have arrived.
You'll be brought in as a platform to sort of help me out. Now this is firing randomly, and so I can just say that I want it to shoot for the closest asteroid.
Target the nearest asteroid.
And then meantime, I see how long I can last. Usually while trying to read chat too. And so yeah, this is an example of like one of the things we do. Lots of chat interactivity. And usually game dev too.
Reinforcements have arrived.
And of course, Pretzel Rocks helps out too. It's nice of it. So this game, and also the one I'm currently working on, is made in Rust, and GGEZ is the game engine. I'm also using a custom ECS library that we wrote ourselves live on stream here, mostly to like sort of learn how ECS systems work. It's not great. There's a lot of performance issues with it, specifically around deleting. Although a community member here has given me some help with how to make that better. I haven't implemented that yet though. Alright, we're getting to the point where it's pretty hard. I think our maximum, I think we got to level 11 once. Oh, but that's it. If we have enough people on, we can get to level 11. All right, let's head back to what we're doing here. So I'm doing, if we select down on a title window, so we have like start and settings. I want to go. I think I did this backwards. If we're doing select up, Oh, that's so weird because it actually is later in the. Yeah, no, I think this is right. It just feels weird. It's like backwards when it's thinking about the order in the array, but or the vector in this case. Okay. And then we give it 0. Otherwise, we're going up. So that'll be the index plus 1. And then that's what I'm returning. Now, if I do here, let's just not move, and we'll return index. Okay, I think I like this a little bit more. So I'm gonna remove you. Can I make you one line? Yes. Oh yeah, okay. And it keeps it. Nice. All right, so errors galore. So then we get the to be selected. Oh, okay, never mind. It wants them to be multiple lines. Fine. Okay, so we get our to be selected, which is this new usize, and then I want to go in and update that. So we're gonna do a we have to grab that out of the current. Oh, and then we're done. You know, and that kind of makes me think that I want to like break as soon as we have this. If I do the work here. So if I say I want I bet this isn't gonna work. I think we're gonna have this like to be selected index here. So let's say I have this to be like that. If borrowed selected. Okay, if you are selected, then we need you to do this here too. We assign you to that, and then we're breaking. We're done. Then down here after this for loop, we can now set the right one. So that's going to be our wrapped selected equals, so it's selected components of to be selected index can be a data wrapper with a Boolean. We're going to cast you. Then we can set you. So this is going to be a dereferenced wrapped selected. We're going to borrow mutably. We're going to set this to be true. And then we're done. When we create you, these events, what do we need? Oh, strings. So you are command string. Okay, what are you yelling about? Oh, cannot. borrow it as mutable as is not declared as mutable. Okay, so that means you need to be mutable here. And then use a possibly uninitialized variable to be selected index. Yeah, I can totally see that. So what if, I wonder if I should do this as like an option, just for like, I can do this as an option, or I can set this as like a number. What? Hello, Kademlia. I have followers only mode on? What? That's not what I want. How do I turn that off? Oh, I remember why. Oh god, that. I am so sorry about that. I am so sorry. That is why nobody was talking. So last week we got botted. A bot came in and yep, a follower bot started messaging. So I turned on follower only mode for 10 minutes. The bot followed me. But because I had 10 minutes on, it still, wait, I think I did it wrong. I don't think I did that right. Off. That's what I want. Followers only mode is off. That's what I want. There we go. Bleh. Yeah, yeah, it was a follower bot. And then I totally forgot to turn it off. I think it's been several streams since then too. So I'm so sorry about that, everybody. Welcome in. Kademlia, thank you for staying to despite that. How was your stream? What were you working on? I don't think anybody was yelling at me on Discord. No. None of my mods or other regulars are here, I don't think. So they're I don't have anybody in Discord yelling at me know how I'm failing. You're doing Minecraft server plugin stuff. Ooh, that sounds fun. I haven't played Minecraft in years. Yeah, what kind of plugins are you writing? So let's set this to be an option. So I'm going to set this to be none here. We're going to make you mutable. And then when we set you here, this is now going to be a sum of what we're returning. Can I do that here? Wait. I think I can do this here. And then you can actually just be a none. It does not like that. I'm doing the match, so. Oh. Ooh, you're down here. That's what it is. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the problem, is like I don't have this in here, so that's why I can't be a sum there. It's gonna have to be a sum in these places. So we're returning. Can I do a sum here? I can. Okay. sort of complicated. All of them. Well, that's cool. Like a lot of different, just a lot of different plugins. You've been doing it for 10 years. That's awesome. We're running Minecraft level editor to replace MC Edit. Your Rust is a bit rusty. Well, I mean, that's perfectly fine. Every level of programmer is welcome here, regardless of how rusty we are at Rust. Okay, so we have this here. Now, we can't use this unless we know that it exists. So that wrapped selected equals, so then this is going to be an if let sum to, this can just be an index to be selected index. Then these two happen in here. So we have wrap selected and the U just become index. So we grab this out and then we set that to be true. We don't have any errors. So let's find out if it works. So regardless if I press up or down, it should set this up or down. But it doesn't. No errors are like showing up in here. It just, as I was pressing the buttons, nothing was happening. So perhaps, oh, you know what would be helpful? It's yelling at me that I'm not actually doing a thing. Oh yeah, the readability of that part, terrible. I need to refactor it to not just be in one function. Because like this is like 3 things that I'm doing all in one function. Not great. You're right, absolutely. Can the for loop call a method and do commands be method calls? Absolutely yes. I think that's a great idea. I want to get it working first, and then I'm going to refactor it to basically like this is probably going to be a method that I can call. Then like maybe like find the index could be another method, and then like swap the index could be another one. I think that'll work out really well. Okay, so first of all, we need to actually create this. So for our system manager, we need our update selected system here. Now previously I was doing this like self.default. This isn't gonna work anymore. This isn't gonna work because, and I can't derive default, I don't think anymore, because this update selected needs to take in the event receiver. So for the system manager, we need the event manager, which is just a mutable reference to the event manager. So we're gonna get the draw text. Now draw text, we can get U as default. Update text. Can use U as default. Is this system? No, it's not. And then finally, update selected. Update selected system. Now this is where I need to do new and pass in the event manager. Then we can turn self with all these things in. So draw text, update text, update selected. Okay, so that works here. Then back in the main library where we call our system manager, we need to hand in a mutable reference to the event manager. Okay, so that's all fine there. Then in our system manager in update, let's see, we do update run, so self dot update selected dot run. And we pass in a reference to the world. All right, let's try this. Okay, I can go up and down, and what that did was it just removed the selection. Not exactly what I wanted. Okay, I know what the problem is. I know what our problem is. In our update selected here, we're doing a query for everything that is just selected. But the problem is, how much code do I have in my project roughly right now? Not too terribly much. This is the beginning of it. We just started last week. I think late last week too. So I don't like have any like metrics of like how many lines of code I've written or anything like that. But basically we have and like how familiar are you? I guess like you said you're rusty with Rust. For everybody else, I don't know if you're familiar with Rust or not. I'm using a game engine called GGEZ. And so in our main file, this is just sort of like setting up what GGEZ is, and then going from there. Our main library file is, we've got all of this set up to sort of like prepare things. So we've got all of our managers that are being created, or like our input handlers, which is what we're working on today. We're using a lot of lessons that we've learned in previous simulations and games. So what that means is I created an event manager. That event manager is allowing me to have all of these systems completely decoupled. They don't care or know about each other, but they care and know about the event manager. So the event manager is tightly coupled to everything. Everything else is not. So they send through channels into the event manager, and the event manager then uses PubSub to send it out to whoever's listening. So that's what we had done in here. This is subscribed to the events of like right now selected up. Like we get well, any command. We get any command really. So that's pretty much like the amount of code that I have. Okay, so what am I supposed to be doing? Oh, right. The query that we're getting here. So updates our query, we're only getting selected. Now that they both can be selected, can't they? So let me run this. I'm gonna do a debug of selected components. I'm just gonna panic right afterwards. Just so that it like just quits right away. And we can see here, okay, so we got a Boolean with false. We got 3 items in here. Oh, I probably want selectable. Oh, I think what happened is it tried to go up and select the game name. And that's not what I want. I want selectable and selected. I need both of these. So that's going to be in here. So we query for selected components and selectable components. Selectable as rec. Expected semicolon. Where? Oh, two commas. Don't need that. Okay, so that gives us this. Now the way that the ECS system, which we created in a completely different like set of streams a while back, the ECS system is the query method, and I wrote this like macro to make it a little bit nicer for us because it's pretty gnarly looking. If I do it all by hand, the query will basically say, give me every entity that has both of these. So I want something that's selectable and selected, meaning I probably don't care about these selecteds at all. So if I run this with only having made that one change, how does it work? Well, I mean, if I remove that panic and debug, that would be nice. That still doesn't work. Okay. Never mind. All right. What happened here? Also, looking at this, we still have 3 things, don't we? You know what I realized? I think my title has selectable on it and it's false, which seems a little bit weird. What I really want that to be is just sort of like a marker to be able to query these things on. So when I created, so where is that? Where am I creating those things? In our loader, so I have this loader for the title screen here. Oh, and so this is the problem is selected, selectable. We have, okay. I think what I want to do here selectable needs to only happen if it's actually selectable. I kind of want to pull this down then and do if selectable, then world.with component. Now, I'm not completely sure this is going to work, but let's find out. Also, what's the only one that I have the ability to do? I have select up. I want to make sure I'm doing up then. No, okay, so that's not working. So okay, so if in our loader if you're selectable, so if that's true, then add the selectable component in. Otherwise, it doesn't get that at all. If we come back to here, let me try debugging the selected components again. We should only see 2 of them. I'll just do that panic again too. Okay, here, I only see 2 of them. Perfect. Okay, so that's exactly what I was hoping for. So after that, I'm trying to set this selected to be true. To like, okay, we We've updated that. Let's do another debug selected components. This time I won't panic. I want to see it like switching back and forth. So you have false, true, true. Oh, okay. So this is working. We see it flipping back and forth. Even down it's working. If I do any other buttons, that doesn't do anything at all, which is to be expected. Okay, so what do I want to do here? I need to make sure that it's the drawing update thing is happening, because I think that that's failing now. So we have this update text. Update text. Oh, this is going to be a 2D platformer. GGEZ is a 2D game engine, so I'm kind of stuck with that for this one. And I haven't really ever done anything in 3D before, so I'm kind of waiting until Bevy is in a better a better spot, like solidified wise, for me to like switch over to that and start doing 3D stuff. I am looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. But I'm also like just getting my game chops, my game dev chops up before I get to that point. Okay, so what's happening here? Basically, we have this remove selected. Do I have one that adds a selected? Maybe I don't. Maybe that's my problem. We remove the selected. 3D is real fun. You started programming with OpenGL and Java in 2013. Oh man, it's, yeah, that does sound fun too. Yeah, I think the only 3D stuff I've ever done before is like following some tutorials for like WebGL. And I did some 3D stuff there, like rendering like a cube that rotated around, but I haven't done like any like my own stuff in it, which I'm looking forward to those. Yeah, so I think we just remove selected here. So we just check to see if you start with that. It's real fun to optimize. Oh, I bet. But also it could be like one of those, well, what's going on? Why is it slow? I don't know. I think that's also, is that also where we get into quaternion math? I haven't done any of that with 2D. Okay, so we have text. Oh, I can get around it. Yeah, I mean, I could also use, usually what I do is I do like the first time, just sort of like, I don't do all full bare bones where I go like native to like, okay, we're just going to program in Vulkan, or we're going to program like straight into OpenGL itself. I'm going to use a game engine, like for example, GGEZ, I'm going to use that, but the ECS library, I'm going to write myself. And like physics, I'm going to write myself. And then after that, I can then switch over into run my own, use a physics library that exists already. So I'll probably do one thing with physics for 3D before deciding to switch over to like probably Rapier. Use that again. So all we have here is removing the selected and then changing the coordinate system. I think the problem is that if we're removing the selected, we need to set something else. We need to select something else. This is our problem here. So what are we doing here? We enumerate. Okay, so we're going through all these. We're extracting our text out with like their positions, and they're selected. If you're selected and you start with this, then we remove you. However, if you're selected, so that would be the same thing here, right? We're gonna do a wrapped selected to borrow, and the wrapped text fragment dot borrow dot text starts with this. You had someone the other day try to argue with me that Visual Studio is lighter than Visual Studio Code, and that Visual Studio Code is terrible for large projects. Well, I mean, that is an opinion. We want you not. Okay, so if we are selected and we don't start with this, then we want to basically do this entire thing. So we want to add selected to it. Now, what does that look like? Imagine arguing that entire IDE is lighter than a text editor. I think like this is the type of thing I see all the time, which is some people get wrapped up, like almost like who we are is wrapped up in our tech choices. And it's like, oh, well, you know, I choose this one, and if that's not like the only way to do it, then like who am I? So therefore, I have to be right. Otherwise, I don't exist. I'm a terrible person, or I'm a terrible developer. And it's like, no. Everybody can actually be right at the same time because it's a very personal choice. KO2 fan, hello. Yeah, so VS Code here is an Electron app. It was funny because how many of you remember Atom? Do any of you remember Atom? That was the GitHub editor before Microsoft bought them, and then just everybody switched over to VS Code. Used it a little bit. Yeah. So Atom was a Electron editor or Electron-based app, and a lot of people thought because of Atom that all Electron-based apps are slow. Like, oh, why would you use it? It's just so slow. Well, it turns out that Atom was slow because everything they did was based upon these really gnarly, nasty regular expressions. Like really gnarly, nasty regular expressions. And regex is good until it's bad. Basically, they're running like, I don't know, like hundreds of them every keyframe, like every stroke. And so if you have a really large file, it was doing that for like across the entire file, and it was slowing everything down really badly. It turns out it had nothing to do with like the web part of the application. It had to do with these regexes. Microsoft comes in and says like, yeah, we're going to not do that. And then it turns out that it's really fast. So I think that this is like perfectly fine. Now, one thing I want to play with, and like I keep on seeing people say, "Oh, I would love to see a version of Electron, but for Rust." And I was like, to me, it's like, isn't Electron essentially going to be great with Rust because we can use WebAssembly with it? I want to try that. Like, I think WebAssembly with Electron would be amazing. Okay, I've been delayed, so I don't have to do this, but I have to do it. So we're not starting with this, which means we need to add this in here. So we can add selected, which is really going to be very similar to this. Let's just duplicate that and change you to add selected. We get this wrap text fragment. So we grab you out, but then we're going to insert insert characters as a byte and position. Okay, so insert, what do you want? You want the index and then the character. So we're going to insert that there. And then we're going to push that. So then here we can do this one. So self dot add selected and pass it in the wrapped text fragment. Okay, excellent. So that works. Now this entire thing, that I'm kind of wondering, do I need to do anything else? By the way, that keyboard mess up is because I had the function. So I love my keyboard except for one thing. Function is a toggle, not a hold. So I constantly accidentally hit the function key, and then half the keyboard doesn't do what I want it to do. Because like it's on function mode, which like it's sort of bothersome. Is WebAssembly worth learning? You keep hearing about it, but don't really know how it works or when it should be used. So if you're doing web stuff, and you're doing computational heavy web stuff, then yes, absolutely. I think that WebAssembly is one of those things where we should learn it to keep our skills up. But if you don't do web front end, WebAssembly is not necessary, but keep it in mind in the case, define computational heavy web stuff. So do you remember back before WebAssembly, we had Mozilla released like WebASM or something like that. It was similar to that. They ported Quake, like the Quake Arena, to the web, and you can play it at like, I don't know, 150 frames per second in the web, like again, like multiplayer against other people. That WebASM is the precursor to WebAssembly. So you can do like full, really awesome, amazing games using using all the computational math for like within that 60 frames per second. But it's hard to do in just pure JavaScript. So WebAssembly was good for that. That WebASM was WASM. There, you might be right. I can't remember what it was called. Like Mozilla created one before WebAssembly as a test, and then as soon as that was good, they abandoned that one, and then WebAssembly was announced. So it was close. But basically, yes, you can like more complicated than Flash games. Like we're talking probably like full 3D, like double or triple A games could potentially be done in the web if you wanted to. If you don't have that performance need, WebAssembly is probably the other main reason is that you can use your language that's not JavaScript to make WebAssembly. That's probably the other big reason that people like it. But that being said, now I do know one person who's here, like here in Denver, who uses WebAssembly, and it's not a web project whatsoever. They're using WebAssembly as a communication, as like the data layer for communicating back and forth between like back-end apps. I don't exactly know what they're using. I think it's something to do with Apache Arrow stuff. But besides that, I haven't really paid too much attention to it. You do front-end web dev, but you really try to take time to make everything as small and as efficient as possible. Yeah, so like if you ever run into a problem where somebody says like, hey, I want you to do like 1 billion calculations at a time, and you're like, well, I can't do that with JavaScript. It's just not gonna work, even though you need to do it in front end, then WebAssembly is where you start looking into. Now it's still in beta, which means that it's like the old web. If you want to remember what old web was like, go to WebAssembly, because you're like, wait, I can't do that? I can only do like these things? That sucks. That happens too. Okay, so if I do this and nothing else and we just run you, are you gonna work? Sort of. No. All right, so what's going on now? Does this happen? Oh, right, because we need to update the text. That's the problem here. We need to update this text also. The fact that I'm duplicating this code means that I should probably create a function to update the text here. But look at that. Okay. So let's have like an update text. So we're gonna have to take the wrapped text fragment, and we also want the wrapped text, which you're gonna be this data wrapper. For text. I think that's it. So then what we're gonna do is this thing. We need to extract out. You do you down here. Okay, so we borrow mute. So I'm using something called interior mutability, basically smart pointers in Rust that allows me to have an immutable reference, but still get a mutable reference to like inside of that. It's interesting. Smart pointers are really cool. They're more expensive than just normal pointers, but it allows me to like do this where I have like just a reference, but I'm borrowing mute. And it seems like it's crazy, but it does a lot of runtime checks for this. So I am moving some things from compile time to runtime, but it allows, like what it allows is pretty cool. I haven't run into any, like I haven't made a system that's too complex for Rust right now. When I'm like running it, I still can get 60 frames per second. So with like 3,000 plus entities on a screen at the same time. So we'll have to deal with that later. Okay, so now this takes in the text. So wrap text, we borrow that mutably. We then dereference that to get to the actual position in memory. And we now just set this to a brand new text. And then we're taking this wrap text here. Now, after that, so then we're going to do a self.update text, pass it those two. The other thing that we need to do is update the position. We need to update our position too in both places. So function what am I going to call this? Function update position. So in this case, looking at this, we have position here. We borrow that mute, so we need a position. your point. We get our screen coordinates, so that's a context. Then we set you, okay, so then we need the text. So we're gonna get the text, which should just be probably another wrapped text there. And I think that's everything we need. So let's look at this. We grab this text out of here. Okay, so the text is being created, but then we just already have it too. So we need you. Then we grab our position, grab our current position, the screen coordinates, and then we set the X of that position here. Yeah, okay, you can be a wrapped text, and you're a wrapped position. You don't need to be mutable because we're okay. So we borrow you. So we just borrow you out to get this. And the more I think about it, I don't actually need to grab you out separately. We're just going to grab the position mutably. So we're going to borrow the position mutably, which gives us a ref mute point. We get the screen coordinates, which gives us like, it's a rectangle of like the top left and then the width and height. Okay, so then we're going to do position.x equals, in Rust, when I do a dot, it auto dereferences. So I don't need to dereference it myself. Okay, so then here instead of text, we're gonna do a wrapped text dot borrow, and then width, get the context out of there to get that, convert that from a U32 to an F32, and then get half of that. So then we update your position here. So wrap position, the context, wrap text. Now, because I've created those, I should be able to, well, I should be able to run this. And the bottom one is going to be appropriate. So settings is appropriate. And play is not. Let's go ahead and set this now to use these methods too. So we remove selected, that's fine. Then we're going to do a self.update text, self.update position. And so if we run this again, there's like half a point difference in here for like what's being selected, which is not the coolest. Oh, I still have that debug in there too. Okay, so now we're just starting with everything with like these here, and we're setting you like, I don't have any spaces. If I debug, what would it be? It would be like a wrapped text. Just want to make sure there's nothing weird going on here. Yeah, so we have setting. Oh, you know what I should have done? Let's see, what about play? Yeah, I don't have any like weird spaces, and it goes back. So I'm thinking Oh, I'm thinking that I'm using a non-mono font, just like whatever the default font is, and it must be like setting, like it must be having trouble finding the exact center for what that is. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. This isn't trying to be like a super not optimized, but polished game. Just more polished than I've done previously, but it's something to sort of keep in mind. And it might go away if I switched fonts to something else, which would be nice. Okay, so we have this. We've cleaned this up a little bit too, which is nice. So let's head back to update selected and clean this up. In fact, but before I do that, it's actually bugs that go away based on font used. Sounds fun. It's a visual bug, right? And the thing is, I don't know that it's going to go away based upon the font used. So I think that it's because it's not a mono font, so that way everything is not the same. But I'm probably wrong with that too. I don't know. There might be something else going on with like the width, like calculating the width and height. Like maybe it's off by like there's some weird like percentage of a pixel or so. All right, I am going to just commit these. So this is our, what are we doing so far? We basically, it's our work in progress for selecting, let's show this, selecting the start menu, selecting start menu item. Did I actually? I did. Okay, perfect. Now, let's go ahead and fix this because this is a pretty nasty function. So first of all, we're grabbing this out to get the current command. So I want to get the command out here. So let's create a function for that. Get commands, I'm gonna do self. I don't think you need to be mutable. So we're gonna return an option with a command inside. And then we're going to take this entire thing here and just throw it in here. So we do a while let. Okay, so we get this event out of self event listener. We listen for the command. So if for some reason we get multiple commands in the same frame, the last one is the one that we deal with. That could potentially be a problem. I don't know if I want to do that or if I want to like have a queue of commands that we do. That might be better. But for right now, we're gonna do it this way until we run into a bug that needs us to do something more complicated. Okay, so then we do this. This matches the command here, so we're turning this some command. That comes out of this match. So I want to do a let result equals a none. You're going to be mutable. Result equals this. So I guess no, because it might not return something here? So you're going to return a none. Then at the bottom here, we're going to return result. Now, what about you? Expected enum option found nothing. Okay, so if we had a command, we get the command out. Oh, okay, we need to sum this here. Oh, I thought this would just like go up. Maybe that needs to be. Oh, can I just do that? Oh, I can. Okay, perfect. So then this should return the result we want. So get command. So now we're gonna grab the current command here, but we can return all in one line. So make this a little bit easier. So we can do self.get commands. So that grabs us you. You don't need to be mutable anymore. Now this is, okay, if let none for this problem equals current command. Yeah, so what I want to do is if let sum command equals this, then I want to return the command. Otherwise, so I'm using a guard pattern here. So otherwise, we're just going to return early. Now, current command isn't in an option anymore, meaning that it's going to be a lot easier for us to deal with this. It's just the command. So I don't have to do this like entire if let sum anymore, or I don't have to do this unwrap here. Okay, so that's nice. And if we run this again, that's still working as expected. Okay, nice. All right, what's next? We get our query out for what these are. I'm thinking this can be part of a different function just to get the query out. Just to get this query. So we care about these. So if I do function query, now we're going to need the world, and we're going to return a tuple with a reference to vec component data. So a reference to a vec with itself a reference to component data. Then in here, we return essentially this. So we're going to do let query, then return you. Oh, lifetime mismatch. Data from world is returned here. Okay, so it doesn't actually like us to do this. And line 30. Helpers line 36. Oh, because that's in BBECS line 36. This parameter and return type are declared with different lifetimes. I mean, I could do lifetimes here, but I usually try to avoid them. I think I'm gonna have to leave that up here for right now until I figure out a better way. So I'm gonna remove you. I'm gonna keep the query in here. Now we have this entire to be selected index and this mess. So what's up for this? What we're doing here is we're trying to loop through all of our selected components and find the index of the currently selected component. And then we're trying to determine what the next one should be. So really, I need to find what is the index of the currently selected component. That's all I really care about. Function get current get selected index. So we're going to be taking in the selected components. I don't care about selectable at this point in time. I just care about selected. So this can be our yeah, just all the selected components. You're a reference to a vec, a reference to data, component data. Well, we're going to turn a usize. All right, how do we do this? How are we doing this up here? So we're looping through. So we're going to loop through our selected components with the index. So let's just do that again down here. For index, selected component. Okay, that gives us our index and our U. Okay. Now, something I'm realizing right away is what happens if we can't find it for some reason. Now, we shouldn't ever not be able to find it, but maybe we should return a result just in case. And then we can bail if we don't find it. So I'm going to do we're going to turn a result with a usize inside. So if we get to the end here, we're just going to bail with a message, could not find selected index of menu. Yeah. All right. So then in here, we want to check to see if the selected component, if it's true, then we return that index. So if dereferenced, no, we have to cast it first. So let our wrapped selected So it's our data wrapper, the Boolean in it. So it's our selected component. We're going to cast you. Then if dereferenced wrap selected borrow you. So if you're true, then return the index. Return okay, the index. Otherwise, bail if we reach the end. Oh yeah. That's true. It doesn't need to be a vector like this. It's gonna be like this. It's a slice. Okay. Get selected index. So that's gonna happen. A lot of this stuff is like sort of wrapped up in that. So I'm gonna say selected index equals self dot get command. No, stop. Get selected index, and we pass it in the selected components. Okay. So now we have this usize. And we're guaranteed to have a usize here because it's going to crash if we can't find it. Okay, so once we have our selected index, we need to what? We need to choose, we need to deselect that index. So we need to deselect it. Function deselect selected component. So we're going to have the index, which is a usize, and the selected components, which is that. I don't think we need to return something. Oh, actually, no, we probably do because we need to get the wrapped of it. Yeah, because it's a string slice. We still need to cast it. Result. But this can just be like that. Okay, so we're gonna do this thing. So we cast it to this wrapped selected, and then deselecting that is just gonna be a dereferenced, and then it's gonna be the wrapped selected. We're gonna borrow mute and set this equal to false. Oh, it's gonna be selected components of index. Okay, so deselect based upon this. So self dot deselect this. We pass it in the selected index, and then also the selected components again. Question mark U. Okay. Then we've now deselected that one. We need to calculate what is the to be selected index. Now, I could almost just see us just having this be a mute. And then also it's just going to be, hey, okay, so now we need to match on our command. So So match current command. We don't care about you. So if we're selecting up, which means, okay, to me, this is now going to be another function call we can do. So update the selected index. So we want the new, so function, it's like calculate, like the new selected index. Index, okay, so it's gonna be yourself. We're gonna need the selected components, but really we just need the number of those components. So we need the current index, which is AU size, and we need the number of components. Now I can still just pass this entire thing in. It's not really a problem here. But if we just do our selected components length, and you're also, I think, a U size, we're now going to return a U size. So this is going to be a very simple function here. If current index, okay, so if current index is 0, then, oh wait, this is gonna be based upon the command. Okay, so we also need the command, which is a command. So this is gonna, we're gonna match on command. We ignore you. Okay, so if we're selected up, so if we're going up, which really means going farther down, because we're inserting them from top to bottom in the array. So if we're going up, I want to go previous in our array. So if we're at 0, then we need to go to like the length. Okay, so this is if current index is equal to 0, then go to the selected components length -1. Otherwise, current index -1. If we're going down, we're doing exactly the same thing, but plus. So if current index, if that's equal to selected components dot length -1, then return 0. Otherwise, return the current index +1. And if for some reason we get this, which we shouldn't, well, actually, no, we totally could. If we get this, we want to just return the current index because we're not actually changing indexes. Okay, so calculate selected index. So we deselect you. So selected index is equal to self dot calculate selected index. We give it selected index selected components length. So that's gonna be selected components dot length, and then the command. Okay, so that gives us a usize here, which is still the same thing. Now, I'm kind of changing my mind on the shadowing here. I think what I'm going to do is just do the current index, and then we're going to do a let new index. You are current index. It's passed in there. Okay, then command cannot find because you're current command. That's why. Okay, so we get all of this stuff. I think is now replaced. So that gets to be deleted. Now, like the same amount of code pretty much exists. In fact, more code exists. I've just sort of extracted them out into different functions, which essentially just gave labels to little bits of logic. Okay, so we have a new index. We call a function to get that. Then we want to update. We want to update which one is true, but we only want to do that if they've changed, because there's a possibility that they haven't changed. So let's just do if new index is not equal to current index, then we're going to want another function down here. Function to, I guess, like select components, or mark component selected. So this is going to be our selected components. So with that, and we also want the index. Let's put that first. Okay, so we get mark components, blah, blah, blah. It's going to do the okay early so we don't run into any problems here. We're going to immediately unwrap this. So we're going to get a wrapped, I guess not wrapped it, we're going to cast it into a wrapped selected data wrapper of a Boolean. Selected components of index. Then we can cast you. Then we can then say a dereferenced wrap selected borrow mute equals true. Now we can come back up here. If you're there, then self dot mark that as selected. We have the new index and the selected components. So now this function is a lot easier to read, a lot sort of easier to sort of reason about. It's mostly just calling other things to do work with a little bit of a guard in front of it. Okay. So if I run this again, everything should just work as is, like as was previously working. We can come down, we can go up and down. Now, if I wanted to test that, I still seem to have a debug. Oh, and update text. That's where it is. Yeah, I don't need you in there. Now, let's say I wanted to create a third thing here. I can do that in our loader or title screen. So we have this like create title, create play, create settings. I would imagine like if I just repeated create settings again. Oh, it's gonna do it in the same place, isn't it? That's our problem. Let's see. Wait. Yeah, this is setting like the Y directly, which is not super helpful. I almost would want to create like another one here, just to sort of like, I don't know, let's imagine I have an about. So here in create settings, let's just duplicate you. I'm not going to do it for real, but we're just going to say create about, let's say. World screen coordinates, the context. Okay, so I'll just create the rest of this the same. This is now about. Maybe like credits is like, credits may be better. I mean, who knows? It might actually be good for us to do a create credits and have it be in here. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Setting. So wherever we have settings here, I want to turn you into a credits. Now our Y, I want this to go down. It's like plus. Oh, no, this is still minus. This is still minus. Is this plus this height times, like, let's just say times 2. That should be far enough down for us to see it. And then we insert this into the world, and then down here, we'll have a create credits. So if I do that, here's all three. It's we could probably do better with like the spacing, but what I want to see is if I go down, settings, credits, and back up again. So now we can actually see that we're properly scrolling through them, which is really nice to see. Now what I can't do is I can't hold this down. That's I don't know if that's good or bad. I can't hold down, it's like just one press. So I'll have to like also think about like, how do I want to handle that? Sometimes I've seen some like games that allow you to hold down and it just like continuously scrolls. Okay, so what if I wanted to add the right spacing in there? So this is more like times 4. No, it's like it. I'm not exactly sure what I would need it to be. Like 2.5 or 3 because it's the third one. Maybe 3. I should probably like have a better system for calculating. Yeah, I guess it's 3. So I should probably have like a better system for calculating how far down it is. But okay, so we have this and now everything works as expected. All right, let's go ahead and clean this up, and that will be this a YouTube video. Okay, so we're not using that ID and we're not using this context. Accidentally brought that in. Doesn't know what gamepad is. Gamepad is a real word. Come on. All right, so you're happy now. Let's close all of you up. And let's amend this last commit. So now we can select and select start menu items. All right. With that, for this YouTube video, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.